Great, thank you, Alexia. I was just going to say the same. I've never followed Santa before in a presentation, so thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Atkins. It's actually my 62nd birthday next week. I'd like to echo what George said. It's a real privilege to be amongst my fellow heart buddies here today, and also to say thank you to the amazing team that you have here at St Paul's. 2019 has been quite a momentous year for me. On Canada Day, which is also my wife Helen's birthday, I became a Canadian citizen. And then on September the 7th, I suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, so two extremes in a short period of time. I feel incredibly lucky and blessed just to be here today. So here's a little bit about my story. So the last time I was in hospital, I think I was 7 years old, so it was quite a shock when I turned up here in September. I participated in all kinds of sports throughout my life. I was a competitive runner. Through my younger days, I played football for 20 years, or soccer as you call it over here. I've been a competitive cyclist as well. And this picture here is me cycling in the 2018 Whistler Fondo, which I did on 3 weeks' notice. And amazingly to me, I came in the top 20% overall in the top 20% of my age group. And the significance of that was in 2019, if I could repeat that, then I'll qualify for the World Championships next year. So that was my goal all throughout this year. So I trained incredibly hard. I worked with the method cycling team. I went up Mount Baker, went up Cyprus. I competed in the Valley Fondo in the 100-kilometer race, where I came second in my age group and 26 overall. So I was in great shape. And then September the 7th occurred, and fate had something differently in store for me. So what happened was I was 10 minutes into this year's Fondo. I was cycling up Taylor Way, which I'd done many times before. And as I was getting towards the top of Taylor Way, I started to feel faint on my bike. And I knew something wasn't quite right. And fortunately, I hadn't quite got into a group. So as some of the athletes in here will know, you kind of push through sort of things that don't feel quite right and think it will get better as you move forward. But something was incredibly wrong. And so I shouted out to the guys around me. I said, I'm coming out. Unfortunately, managed to pull over to the left without wiping anyone else out, and ended up unclipping my shoes and sitting on the floor. And then I could just hear people around me, and I can remember saying time and time again, tell me it's a dream, tell me it's a dream. And I had some amazing people that stopped their races to support me. I could hear somebody phoning 911 behind me. I heard a paramedic sort of turn up, but she was a cyclist in the race, so she didn't have any kit with her. And the last thing I can recall was a guy who turned up from the race event who was there to support me. But so many amazing people got off and supported me at that time. And so what happened, as I learned later, I woke up in the ambulance, discovered later that I had CPR. I had 2 rounds of the pads, and it was the second time round that I actually regained consciousness. I arrived here directly into the cardiac unit at St Paul's, and immediately, although I was quite conscious at this point, immediately there was just a great sense of calm about the place, professionalism, communication. People were telling me what was going on. I had to communicate back because they didn't know how to take my cycle shoes off, so I had to show them how to do that. And very quickly after I arrived as well, they ran an angiogram, so I came straight in, missed out ER, straight into the cardiac unit, and then shortly after then I was taken up to the ICU unit, and there is an amazing team of people. Sean, who I remember, one of the nurses up there, who's a character, I would say, but there were lots of characters up there, and I immediately felt okay. And in many respects, I felt it was much harder for my wife Helen. Helen, I'd taken up to Whistler the day before, and she had the phone call early on a Saturday morning to say that I was in hospital. And I just can't imagine how that must be for our other halves, just receiving those kind of calls. That must be incredibly difficult. And by the time she was able to get down from Whistler, I was sitting up in bed. I think I had a magnesium drip on, but actually I felt great, and everyone said, "Well, you look perfectly normal." I'm not sure how you're supposed to look, but I did. And not long after that, I met Dr. DL, who's my cardiologist, and they came in, they looked at the angiogram, view, and that was one of the real plus sides I had from this whole experience, was actually with all the tests and everything, my heart was incredibly clear. The angiogram was completely clean, and so they knew pretty well straight away it was an electrical type issue. And as you know here, people divide themselves into plumbers and electricians, and that's the way they do things. So I was with one of the electricians. I had a heart MRI, I had multiple ECGs, I had multiple blood tests, and towards the end of the week, it was determined that I needed to have an ICD fitted. And so Dr. Chakrabarty here and the team duly fitted that on the Friday afternoon, and I think an hour later, and this was the picture of thanking him for my experience, I was released out of hospital. You know, I knew I was amongst an amazing team of people, and I wrote to Fiona because I just feel like, you know, if you have a good meal, people need to be told this, and it is an incredible team here, and you've got an advocate for life in me as far as that's concerned. I was incredibly fortunate because when you look at things around, and you look at the statistics afterwards, the chances of me surviving what I went through is less than 10%. So I just feel incredibly lucky to be alive and to be here today. It does make you, I heard some of the commentary earlier, and it does make you figure out, you know, why was I saved? What's my purpose in life? You know, what should be my new focus? And I'm still figuring a lot of that out. I think people are incredibly important. Experiences are important, and the ability to kind of give back, or your legacy, is incredibly important. I know part of my giving back for sure is going to be, you know, definitely into the heart, or the heart charities, and also to St. Paul's here as well. So this was 4 weeks. This is a picture 4 weeks after my cardiac arrest. I'm pictured here with Vicky, who's one of the coaches at Method. This was a spin-a-thon for breast cancer. Vicky's a 9-year breast cancer survivor and an amazing lady. So I've now been back training for probably 4 or 5 weeks. Dr. Chakrabarty, I'm not pushing it as hard as I could. I'm trying to be careful there. I've started a bit of running as well, just a little bit. I'm incredibly blessed to have a second chance. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity that you guys here have given me. So thank you very much for that, and I wish you all a very happy Christmas. Thank you.